Hello everyone, Realm Builder Guy here, and welcome back to the channel. Well, I haven't done one of these in a long time, but I figured getting back into the swing of things with Crusader Kings 3 and YouTube in general, I figured it's time for highlighting a new CK3 dev diary. And it's kind of a doozy. It's number 130, Wards and Wardens, the Vision. So this is the upcoming update. I believe August 22nd is when it is scheduled. So I figured we would peruse this dev diary and give you my thoughts on it as we read through it. So it's been a few weeks since we spoke, but it feels like longer. What with all of you having been busy traveling, touring, tournamenting, and the rest, it is time for us nonetheless to leave behind the world for now and take a look ahead at what we have coming up. So, the Vision. Our first event pack, Friends and Foes, gave us something of a chance to experiment. Since then, we've had the chance to take a look at exactly what direction we want to start moving in with these packs and build on what worked. One area that we hit upon was diversity of content and how the player experienced the game. Events are the ink that we daub onto the fabric of the narrative. Oh, nice use of words there. But it's how, what, and why these events happen that govern their efficacy. Introducing new avenues for that content to reach the player is a great thing, provided it's done in an unobtrusive way. With that in mind, we're going to outline a few of the new features you'll find in Wards and Wardens, the next event pack that you voted on last January, by the way, and its accompanying patch, both available August 22nd, as I said. So let's talk about it. Captivating features. Hostages aren't quite what you'd think of when you hear the term. Rather than forced holding of a person to ransom, hostage ship in the Middle Ages was a political and legal status that was absolutely widespread. This is very, very true. We think of Richard II, or Richard the Lionheart, not Richard II. Richard II was not that great. Richard I, Richard the Lionheart. He was, of course, as he was coming back from the Crusade, captured and held hostage by the Holy Roman Emperor. So because of some things he did on, I believe, Cyprus, to someone affiliated with the Austrian noble family. So, yes. And of course, the way Henry II, Richard's father, also dealt with Eleanor of Aquitaine, and Eleanor of Aquitaine, before she married Henry II, was being chased by a number of nobles throughout Europe who were trying to take her hostage, actually to force marriage. So, yeah, hostage taking a big deal. In Wards and Wardens, hostages are a new type of relation somewhere between a prisoner and a foreign court guest. They reside at your court as a guest would, but cannot leave of their own accord, nor can they become knights. That is true. They are generally, though not always, children and have found themselves in such a predicament due to their liege exchanging them away as a guarantee of non-hostility following a war, or exchange via interaction during peacetime. Such an arrangement not only eases the mediation process, but also gives both sides some peace of mind. Yes, of course, hostage taking of children was very prevalent, but as I outlined with Richard the Lionheart or Eleanor of Aquitaine, it was not solely about children. So here we can see an exchange of hostages. I love, actually, this edition of the game is a big deal. I really, really like this. It adds more depth and another layer to diplomacy in the game. Now, if we could just get that for trade. Hostages are essentially living non-aggression packs. Harming a hostage is a significant diplomatic incident, but it's also a way to deter your former enemies from getting any more bright ideas about exactly to whom that border county belongs. Any ruler that you have a hostage from will suffer significant debuffs and penalties should they try and attack you. And any wardens attacking home courts also suffer similar debuffs. So hostages present one of the strongest forms of deterrent possible. The hostages themselves are kept in line by something else new and shiny. The other thing about hostages, I mean, we're talking a lot here about the way it happened in medieval Europe, but hostage taking was a big deal amongst the Mongol tribes as well, which is actually something that Genghis Khan outlawed once he unified the tribes, and to get rid of this perpetual hostage taking. So yes, in that entire medieval Middle Age time period, hostage taking is a very massive key component. So in perpetuity, we have two types of hook extent in the game already, strong and weak. The latter are the type of hooks you'd get if you were, for example, to manipulate a person in some way. They are single use and can be refused at cost. Strong hooks, on the other hand, can be used multiple times and in a range of scenarios, but also are much rarer. Now, of course, any of you who've been watching my Let's Play series with the Angevin, you know, hooks have become a big deal now later in the series, depending on when you are watching this, and strong hooks, yeah, there you can see what types of things perpetrate or create strong hooks. Uncovering murder schemes or cannibalism. That's kind of a big deal. Perpetual hooks are a new sort of hook, which wardens can get on hostages who they treat well and represent something of a middle ground. They are refusable like weak hooks, but also permanent like a strong hook. At the moment, hostages and those that have previously been hostages are the only characters you'd expect to see with a perpetual hook. But just as memories were built with expansion in mind for friends and foes, so too should you not be surprised if in the future find more and wider examples of perpetual hook usage. I really like that. What an odd fellow. One of the spots that we've been somewhat hamstrung by in CK3 is in mediating the existence of characters that don't quite fit the mold, as it were. So here we can see Eccentric. In CK3, you'd have insane and possessed characters who did all kinds of wacky things. Immortal horse chancellors and such. You know how it goes. Oh, that was in CK2, sorry. CK3's takes a more grounded approach. Yes, thank you for getting rid of immortal horse chancellors. I absolutely hated that in CK2. Some people thought it was funny and a meme and kind of cool. I totally hated that. So traits are represented. Lunatic, for example, was used increasingly loosely in CK2, ending up as an umbrella for anything ranging from slightly kooky to genuine mental illness, but CK3 sticks much more rigidly to the latter. This is where the eccentric trait comes in, as a trait dedicated to the slightly odd. This allows us to group some of the more unusual situations you'd find under this new personality trait, giving them both more reason to happen for a certain character, but critically, also barring those characters who wouldn't engage in such strange distractions from doing so. We'll talk about this more in the coming weeks. So, if we look at eccentric, diplomacy -2 +2 to learning, stress gain +50%, stress loss +50%, monthly lifestyle experience +20%, opinion of eccentric characters +10. This character's behavior is seen by others to be erratic and irrational, but there appears to be some method to the madness. I like this. A midwife crisis. As you might expect, given how hostageship skews very much towards the young, a fair percentage of what we've been working on has been filling out the experience of non-adult existence in CK3. We've come some way in this regard since release, with Friends and Foes adding a swab of new events and revamp of childhood personality traits. Regency mechanics, all that stuff, great. To a child navigating the dangerous medieval world. In Wards and Wardens, we've added to this with another fresh layer of childhood content, in no small part focused on hostages and their experiences, but also the addition of a wet nurse court position. Wet nurses held an interesting status among the medieval court, and adding this court position adds another layer of intricacy to the trials and tribulations of raising a child. Okay, so if we look at this, wet nurse monthly court grandeur change +10% to +20%, reduces chance of children to contract illness, possibility for child development events. Very nice, I like that. Mature students, we have been delighted to read just how much you all have been enjoying all the new and the old activities in CK3 since the release of Tours and Tournaments, which, by the way, Tours and Tournaments, if you haven't gotten it, get it. It is a DLC that is really worth the money. I liked Royal Court. Tours and Tournaments I think is better than Royal Court. So Tours and Tournaments I can highly recommend. With this in mind, we've attempted to utilize it to approach something that's previously been static in Crusader Kings 3, education as an adult. Ooh. So host a university visit, spend a semester at a renowned center of studies, learning from the wisest minds. So what does this do? It may upgrade education trait, may gain skill points, may gain lifestyle experience, lifestyle traits, may gain book artifacts, may recruit a higher skilled character. 190 cost in this, once every 20 years. Yeah, I like this. Previously, once you had come of age, an education type and rank was assigned to you, and that was that. You, age 16, were as educated as you'd ever become. Now, while it's properly reflecting the rate at which humans grow as people as they age, is something of an impossible task for a game, of course. Current system felt a little too rigid for our liking. As such, the adult education activity now gives players a chance to tickle their brains at a center of learning and hope that they can actually upgrade their education trait to a higher level. But what of those of us who enter adulthood with the finest education life has to offer? What steps can those people take to better themselves in adulthood? Worry not, we have a plan for that too, but we'll have to wait. So goodbye for now. That is the end of this one. So, what do I think? So, adult education, I really love this, especially if you are like me and you roleplay. You're not min-maxing or playing optimized. You're role-playing a character that's really into maybe diplomacy, stewardship, or learning, not one that's super martial focused. I think something like this is definitely something you would want to do and should do. The wet nurse, I love just adding that basically the courts that can afford it can create a better environment for their children to survive. The eccentric trait, I love that. That adds another layer to it. And I love the +2 to learning. So if you have an eccentric character, combine that with adult education, I think you have a really fun RP mechanic there. The perpetual hooks here, I think, are great, and hostage exchange is great. So, from this first look at Wards and Wardens coming August 22nd, it is worth it. I like it. I look forward to checking out more of these. If you want to see more Dev Diary updates as time permits, please let me know down in the comments. As always, likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated. Also, check out links down in the description to Patreon and the Nexus GG store, everything to support and help the channel. Until next time, I am Realm Builder Guy, and I will talk to you soon.